It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 175 today. Really glad that you're with us for this next hour to enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. So come on in. The pool looks and feels like $1,000,000. The hot tub is going 104 degrees. I personally can't wait to dive in there, followed by a dive in the pool. The grill is going full bore, and as I look over the grill from my window above, guess who is our grill master today? Remember Izaura, the author from the Toronto area, big proponent of naturism? Well, Izaura flew in from Toronto last night just to man our grill, so Izaura, we thank you very much for that. We have fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside, and if you leave the pool area, off to the left is a hammock. If you need a break, need a quick nap, that's the place to go. Behind the pool area, some putting greens, and off to the right, some bocce ball action. You come back in the pool area in the back left corner, a cigar bar, help yourself there. And we also have extra towels, extra lotion, extra chairs, everything that you could possibly need for this next hour to enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. And if we forgot something, let us know and we'll add that to the next show or somewhere down the road, because we want you to enjoy this hour and what it's all about, removing those restrictions, those constraints. And so you are just you. You're not you trying to be somebody else in a fancy suit or a nice dress or whatever, or even a loud-looking bathing suit. It's just you, and it's just me, and it's just her, and it's just Lisa, and it's just an individual is an individual, no longer putting on airs or a fake personality as we so often do in society. So come on in and enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. Well, on today's show, part 2 with Jenny Agee. She's one of the 7 trustees for the American Association for Nude Recreation. AANR has 1 per region. She is the representative from the Northwest region, where Andy Rogers is the president. And also, Lisa Monroe is literally walking in right now. Just as I said her name, the door opened, and she will be coming on for her segment in just a moment. So we are glad that you're with us today. Clothes-free living for all the right reasons, and I hear some music under my voice. Can you hear it? Oh, yes, that can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the terrific, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the one of a kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I am doing fabulous. And how about yourself?
Not bad. Are you getting
Good.
outside more and more? We talk about that each week, but each week gets a little better. So how about you?
Absolutely. I'm getting outside every chance I can get. You know, I was reading something today about the value of sun. Not only does it give you vitamin D, it also reduces inflammation.
Ooh.
And it reduces stress.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, the sun is more beneficial than we really realize. And
Yeah.
so, and you know, all the caveats, you should put on the sunscreen, you should not stay out in the bad times or whatever. But, you know, 30 minutes of sun a day would be, or, you know, a little more in my case, would be a really good thing for everybody.
Yeah. I think, as you know, I like to spend time at the pool when
Yes.
it's hot. I mean,
Yes.
I don't go out there when it's cool, but at the pool, sun on me, iced tea, literally iced tea.
Yes.
It's not a euphemism for, a 6-pack of beer or anything. It's really iced tea. And when I sit down, like immediately I feel relaxed. And by the time I'm done, you just call me, change my name to, Frank Relaxed, because
Yes.
that's, yeah. So the fact that you found that scientifically
Mm-hmm.
proven,
Mm-hmm.
not a shock at all.
No.
And there are some people who are not naturists and nudists at all,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll say, "Oh, I love being in the sun. It feels so good on my face." And I always want to
Yes.
say, "Well, hello. What percentage of your body does your face make up? A very small amount. Can you imagine the feeling if you got sun on your whole body?" So maybe we'll get there someday, but at least we in this community, for lack of a better term, understand the benefits. So that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just it, and it is all of the above. I think for any of us who get out in any time, we feel that you start to relax, you start to get kind of liquid, you start to feel better. And so, yeah, we say go get in the sun, healthy for you.
It's true. Well, even at the beach, whether it's a nude beach or a public beach where you can be nude,
Mm-hmm.
and by that I mean you're a mile or two away from anything representing humanity whatsoever. If you take your clothes off and leave a suit on, you feel one way. If you take all of your clothes off, it just instantly feels better. And that relaxed thing is a big part of it, at least for me. Same for you, or you just take it all in?
Yes, I love all of the above. And remember, I am a Leo. The sun is my thing, but the yeah, I love every bit of it. But that relaxation is key because I've if I lay out on the beach for a while and between hearing the ocean and also the sun, well, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go.
Right,
I don't
right.
want to leave. I want to stay
Yes,
right there and never
yes.
move again. And unfortunately, we can't do that. But all of the above and the stress goes away. I did not realize about the inflammation, and inflammation is something everybody has. It's kind of an issue, and it's a health problem. And if that helps, that I mean, that's cheaper than drugs from the pharmacy. I mean,
Yeah, right. No, that's very true, and we've heard this from other people, mostly as it pertains to resorts. But to me, it pertains to my pool, the beach, wherever I am, including a resort. Is that I never want to stop and I never want
Mm-mm.
to leave. So I purposely set a timer because otherwise you get burned and the bad things can happen if you get too much sun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I set a timer, and when that timer is over, it's like, oh shoot, I
I
guess I
know.
better pack up and get in the house or get
Yeah.
home or whatever. But
Mm.
so we have to take care of ourselves, but enjoying that sun in proper doses, you can't go wrong, right?
No, nothing's better. And I think I lived in the another colder climate at one point in time, and winter was tough on me. I truly did have that SADS, that seasonal disorder problem, and it was difficult. And so I was looking forward to every time I got a chance, I get to Florida during the winter, and that helped elevate your mood and everything else. So and thaw you out a little bit. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, as everybody knows, we do have a Patreon page here. And the reason for that, everybody knows, unless you're brand new today. And we do get brand new listeners on every single show. So that's
We
why I
do.
say this on every show.
Yes.
Is we gave up paid work to do this show for free. And there are expenses associated with it. And our CPA and attorney yell at us all the time.
Mhm.
Used to yell a lot more. And so we started a Patreon page to, if you enjoy the show and you take it in and listen to our segments and shows, now twice a week, basically, we ask you to give and sign up for Patreon. And you've done that and come through with flying colors, and we appreciate that very much. And in return, we give you benefits, and they're listed on the Patreon page. Well, Lisa, on every show, we highlight two recent members. Who do we have today?
Today we have Sim and John, and welcome aboard. We appreciate both of you being here and look forward to getting to know you better.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Sim, and thank you, John. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate all of our PPPs, our paying Patreon peeps. And if you want to join and get more information, on the 10th of every month, we send a newsletter and special content just to the upper two levels. And then twice a month, we are now sending video of our work here, but that's only to the top level. But we have other benefits too, wristbands, and what else do we have going out there, Lisa?
Depending on the different level, everyone gets a wristband, and then the next level gets a mug and a wristband, and then the T-shirt and the other items, and then Our Patreon level gets a little bit more, a tote bag and that kind of thing.
All right. Well, very good. And again, we appreciate our PPPs very much. We thank you. And we talk about you every day in glowing terms.
We sure
Appreciate you
do.
very much. Yeah.
Well, we hear from them all the time too,
Yeah.
which
That's
really
right.
helps, and we love hearing from them because they always have something, good to say, or suggestions that they'd like to have, and so we love every bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. How about the area of merchandise? That's another area that you take care of all by yourself. What's new and great and exciting there?
Well, we have four different logo kind of things for merchandise, and one is the Naked Nudist and Naturist full. One's the NNN if you want to have that, but don't want to have the Naked Nudist Naturist on it. We have Clothes Free Living for all of the right reasons merch. And now we have what we call our undercover NNN merch, which is just the little leaf logo. So it kind of gives you the opportunity to wear something from a naturist perspective out without giving away what it's about. So, and that's actually done pretty well. I got it out a little bit later, a few days later than I meant to, but we've had some bunch of t-shirts and a coffee mug or two coming out, and that's really great.
All right. And how do people find our merchandise page?
They go to nakednudistandnaturist.com and click on NNN shop, and there's everything for you to take a look at.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we have a letter. We talked about him recently on the show, and he was a guest at one point in the past. And we call him the gentleman from Michigan. He is an attorney and just can't get his name out there associated with naturism, nudism, clothes free living. And we understand that. And a lot of people are in that situation.
Certainly are.
That's why we call him a gentleman from Michigan. Well, he sent a letter, and I'll go ahead and read a few paragraphs, Lisa, and then you dive in after that. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
All right, so we'll just read his whole letter, and we'll break it down and discuss it. The purpose of my email today is in response to an article I recently read in the New Yorker. Its title is Freudian Slips. I attached the article in this email in case you are not subscribed to the magazine, and that article link is in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
The read started out with intrigue and transitioned into a series of placing the paper down due to questioning comments made. So apparently he got ticked off at some point.
Don't tick off an attorney. That's not a good thing, especially one this smart.
Oh, yeah, very brilliant guy. Comments that we in the nudist community find to be an ongoing issue, that being clothing as the great disruptor to life as your true self, constant hiding behind the threads of another's design. Gosh, is this guy smart? That's exactly what it is. And
Yes.
you and I, we've talked about this before. We were experts at playing that game. You want me to use clothes to be a disruptor, to being, from being nude, and just kind of stand at the mountaintop and say, I'm, great because I'm dressed like this. I can do that. You did it. But he's right. It's the great disruptor to life as your true self.
It certainly is. And I remember someone telling me early in my career, dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah.
And so, and I believe that, and it worked. And because I always came in a little more professional than anybody else and better prepared than some. So that makes a big difference. And it is a game, and it is it is just a play that you have to put on in order to get where you want to be.
Yeah. Now, what would you have done? Because I've thought about this before. Let's say everybody in the world were nude 25/8. Well, that eliminates all of those games in the workplace. You can't dress a little better than the next person to get a job you want.
You can't.
What would you do? Because you'd definitely be a different person because you're nude and you're just being yourself, not faking like you're something else in a very expensive outfit.
Well, what I think you would do is actually do your job, work hard, learn your job as well as you could be, do the job the way it should be done. And, you will grow if you learn all the time and strive all the time. So I think that's the only solution to without the earmarkings of a suit or a three-piece dress or whatever that you have, and high heels. Oh gosh, those things are nasty. But it's important that if those are all stripped away, then your performance is all that matters.
And to be clear, you just mentioned high heels. I'm taking your word for that. I've never worn those. Never even tried a
Oh,
pair on.
thank goodness. I wish I hadn't, but those were the thing. And when you're not real tall like I am, you put them on so you're like at least halfway up above the desktop or
Yeah.
something. But so there was that was almost a crutch for me too in a lot of ways because the way the world is. But yeah, I think that all you have to do is do your job. If
Yeah.
you don't have to pretend if you're hiding behind clothes. You
Yeah.
have to do the job.
I was in a meeting once. There were four people. It was the lead dog. I was not the lead dog yet. He was the lead dog. I was the second dog in charge. And then there were two employees. One was a man, one was a woman. And this particular team of four, we got together once a week under the guise of planning for the next week. But it was really, as I discovered, because it started before I got there, it was really just to have lunch and, kind of relax and kick back on a Friday. And so, okay, I guess we can, I wasn't the decision maker yet, but that's a tradition. Okay, that's what we do. And so we're in there, and there was one woman, keep that in mind. And at some point she said, I'm so glad it's Friday. These high heels are killing me. And the lead dog said, I know exactly what you mean. They really hurt. And I looked at him. It was probably inappropriate for me to say so because he could have fired me. And I said, oh, really? I said, would you like to expound on that? And his face got all red and everybody's cracking up. And he said,
Love it.
well, let's just say I've tried it before. And we went from there. I won't give more details, but apparently that was a fairly normal part of his life. And I suppose if that is, go for it, right? If you want to embrace something, go for it. Just making it clear that I never have. That's all I'm saying today.
That works for me. And yes, whatever you do or whatever you enjoy doing or whoever you are, be who that person is. None of us should ever judge anybody for anything like that. But I will tell you, I had a trick. I always carried a big bag that was kind of was a briefcase and sort of purse kind of thing at the same time, so I didn't have to carry any more. And I always kept a pair of flats in that bag. And so the flats were on from the car to the front door. The heels went on before I walked into the building if I was going to see a client or something. So yeah, because those things are killers. But anyway, so you learn to play that game too.
Absolutely. And taking your word on the high heels.
Yes.
Continuing on with the article, though, Lisa Monroe, why don't you take over from here?
The article began with a quick discussion about a psychoanalyst called Edmund Bergler and his analysis of patients and their choice of wardrobe, and ultimately what their choice of dress meant to their psyche. Then a jaunt to Sigmund Freud and his apparent anxiety and later obsession with the right clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I started thinking about how true this is for so many in the textile world and how quickly the obsessive thoughts dwindle as we embark on our clothes-free journey. A comment was stated that boiled my blood upon reading. As Adam and Eve discovered, it's impossible to wear nothing at all.
Holy cow. Can you believe that somebody actually printed that in the New Yorker is a generally accepted,
excellent, excellent
magazine.
magazine. So
it's impossible to wear nothing at all. And we're saying not only is it possible, it's 100% preferred. So
yes,
you get these crazy statements out there, and that's what puts us back a step or two. Just means we have to work harder to get the word out, right?
It certainly does. And I understand about the blood boiling because that is something that really kind of undermines everything we believe when you start to put it in that kind of a context. And so it's not good.
Yeah. All right, moving along, the gentleman from Michigan, his article. This is not only baffling as they were each intended to live clothes-free, sans the original sin. Yes, Adam and Eve were intended to live clothes-free, as were we.
Yes.
And then the original sin, and we know how that unfolded. It is also insulting, as clothing serves a very specific function, protection from the elements. Yes. It is indeed possible to wear nothing at all the while being immensely comfortable and content. The article goes on with discussions of the Gen Z generation finding difficulty in mixing comfort with daily wear and the penchant for public pajamas. That's true. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
where the shredding of work attire and a transition to wearing flannel is highly desirable. Why not just remain without clothing once home? I asked myself. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This pajamas thing, I don't know when that started, 10, 15 years ago. Mostly women, but men too. You go to Walmart, you go to some grocery store, there's somebody wearing pajamas on aisle 7. It's like, what? Now,
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you think about that? I'll just leave it to you.
Okay, I grew up with a mother who got dressed to go to the grocery store. So for me, I have a little bit of a different attitude about things because I think you should always go appropriately dressed to
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
And I don't find pajama bottoms appropriate for anywhere but home. But it has become a thing. And so I'm not fond of it. And I see it all the time and it's ridiculous. But again, it's a fashion trend, and clothing lines started making things that look like pajama bottoms to buy into that. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not fond of it.
No, yeah, it's just very odd. It sends a message. I'm not sure what the message is, other than I didn't feel like getting dressed, and I don't care what you think. Or, hey, I got out of bed to come
Hmm.
here, and if you're lucky, maybe we'll go home together. I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm just kind
I
of,
I don't either. And maybe it's a way of showing, kind of fighting against the establishment where they don't want to wear high heels and they don't want to wear suits and they don't want to do those things. And I understand that level of rebellion, but there's also a level of respect of what you're doing when you're in the workplace
mhm.
and or in a public place. And it's just it doesn't make sense to me. But again, I came up with a different upbringing, and we were dressed when we were supposed to be dressed, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard for me to see that kind of relaxation in the public.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I had this one woman who, by societal standards, let's just say she was considered to be attractive, and she was a client and came in a lot to check on various things that we did there. And one day she popped in my office unannounced. I didn't know she was coming in pajama bottoms.
Oh
I
my
don't remember what she
gosh.
had on top. I think she might have had a little jacket because it was winter. I don't know. But
Ugh.
walks into a professional office, and I'm the lead dog, pajama bottoms. And I thought, nothing good can come from this. I need to find a way to get her out of here and move along. Now, one wall of my office had a tremendous number of windows, in fact, a large window,
Mm-hmm.
so people out in the main office area could see me in there, which was
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah.
That way, there's nothing that can go wrong. And so I walked her over to where this window was. It's just, and I said, she said, can we sit down and talk for a few minutes? I said, actually, I have to get to a meeting, which I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
said, but what can I help you with? So we're standing near this window where people in the office could see. And she explained what she needed. I said, okay, let's get together. We set up a time and whatever. And then I said, I really have to get to this meeting. And then she, okay, all right, sorry to pop in. I said, yeah, always give me a call if you can,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm usually running here or there, and you just happen to catch me
Right.
in my office before I was leaving. Actually, I was leaving, but not for a meeting. It was something else going on. So she left. And within seconds, this woman on my staff came in, and she said, what in the blankety blank was that? And I said, I don't know. She appeared out of nowhere, and suddenly I'm talking to her. She goes, you know what that looked like? I said, yeah, I'm pretty well aware of what that looked like. And she said, could we maybe make an agreement to not do that again? And remember, I'm the boss, not her. And
Yeah.
I said, oh, I didn't even do it this time. She did it this time. But yeah, that can never happen again. I'll talk to my
Mm-hmm.
secretaries because
Mm-hmm.
they ushered her in.
Mm-hmm. They should have
I,
not done that.
well, exactly. So I said, what did you bring her in for? Well, she wanted to see you. I said, great. And she's a valued client, but you got to
Yes.
have some clothes on. This is a
Yes.
professional office. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I said, ladies, there were two of them. I said, if this happens again, it's going to get more serious. So
Yeah.
anyway, we got through that. But yeah,
Yeah.
wearing pajamas in a store or certainly a professional office, I'm not a fan of that. And it sounds like he's not either, which is
No.
terrific.
Absolutely.
All right, Lisa Monroe, would you like to continue on?
I sure will. The article essentially ends with the author telling her own story about clothing she had come across at various junctures in life, and of designers and their products that feel some level of interest to the fashion world. Without going much deeper into the line by line, I will end with this summation.
Now, before you go on, there's an attorney word if I ever heard one. Summation.
Absolutely.
You don't hear that at the local 7-Eleven by the
No,
court.
he
But
don't.
anyway, let's move along. Take it from there.
Clothing is clearly the great separator for humanity. Men are drawn to the bodies of women through clever pinching of fabric. Women are sexualized in the same manner. Clothing forces everyone to look at each other and notice status, position, and wealth, or lack thereof. Nudism is more than simply being naked. Nudism is a philosophy that reconnects humans with humanity, with nature and self-worth. Nudity allows us to see ourselves as more than what we gather from a boutique, then don ourselves with an artificial sense of belonging. Belonging to what, I wonder?
Yeah, very well said. And, everything that he said is correct and very true. Men are drawn to the bodies of women through clever pinching of fabric. As somebody once told me about a woman at the beach, everything is uncovered except the three parts in front, and that's where the eyes are drawn. Because you have a bright green or a bright orange. Well, that's where the eyes are going to go in any scenario. And so it actually, by wearing a bikini, that's much more highly sexualized or is sexualized, whereas being nude, oh, there's a woman, with breasts over there and a backside. Anyway, what's for lunch? Because you've just seen 1,000 of them every day at the nude beach. Any thoughts on that before I finish up the article?
I think it's very true. And don't forget, women are drawn to men in clothing as well. And I mean, just think of the fact that, women are drawn to uniforms, and those uniforms are designed to fit tightly and to look good, or, jeans or whatever. So it is we have gone past the clothing from the elements to making statements and to, enticing people to take a look at us. And it's just not right. It's just not.
Yeah, clothing has become one of those tools now where we can just fake out everybody. You can just have nothing at all going on in your life, put on a really expensive suit, walk in, and people say, whoa, there's somebody to be reckoned with. We better take him seriously, even though he's a joke or whatever. Being nude, as he says, nudism is more than simply being naked. It's a philosophy that reconnects humans with humanity. Yes, that's basically it. Artificial sense of belonging. Yeah, belonging to what? Yeah, to other people who are faking it is basically what it is. Let me go ahead and finish up. That's it for the article, and he has a couple last paragraphs.
Okay.
Also, I watched the first of you and the guest, video edition of NNN, and was very impressed. Well, all right. And I did not have a three-piece suit on for that.
No, you didn't.
I am incredibly fortunate to have been invited as a guest to this incredible show. As such, I had the immense pleasure of interacting with you, quotation marks, face-to-face, over Zoom, which led me to a certain bias of not needing video. Well, sure, you've already been here and done that. But on a personal note, I could recall our conversation while watching you and Linda Weber speaking. That brought me great joy. I do see the value in the video inclusion, as it allows for a somewhat closer connection than simple sound. Seeing the people who have guided such a positive impact on the clothes-free life is special. Well, that's great to hear, and coming from him, that means a lot. He's saying, I don't need video. I've already been there. I talked to Frank. We were both naked on the screen, had a great interview. And then he sees the video. It's like, well, wait a minute. That actually does connect me more. Makes sense, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And, I'm going to say this is a younger man who's just come into naturism in the last couple of years or so, and to see how he's embraced it, and to also see the wisdom that he has about what we need to do and what this actually is all about is remarkable. And it's just a pleasure to hear from him and to hear what his thoughts are.
Yep. Thank the gentleman from Michigan very much for that letter.
Yes.
And Lisa Monroe, with that, let's head for the hills. We have coming up in just a moment, part 2 of my interview with Jenny Agee, the chair of the Ambassadors Program, also one of the 7 AANR Trustees. So if you promise to stay naked as a jaybird till the end of the show, we'll have you back on at the end of the show. How's that for a deal?
Well, I thank you very much. I will stay naked just for that opportunity.
All right. Sounds good. The very terrific Lisa Monroe as she goes hip-hopping out of the studio here today. She is a great dancer. One of these days, we'll capture that on video. It'll be my last day doing the show, I am sure, but we'll have a little fun on that final day. How about that? She does tons around here, as you know, and we thank Lisa Monroe very much. Well, we are the official podcast of the American Association for Nude Recreation. Are you a member? If so, that is great. But if you are not, you can become one right now. Just go to AANR.com, follow the navigation through to membership, and within moments, you will be a fully fledged member of the American Association for Nude Recreation, just like I am and just like Lisa Monroe is. How is that for a deal on a Saturday morning? Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 175 today. And now let's get to part 2 of my interview with Jenny Agee, one of the AANR trustees and also the chairperson for the Ambassadors Program, part 2 with Jenny Agee. And so the Ambassadors Program has already kicked off. You had your meeting in February, and you actually have some people out in the field now, probably in the warmer climates right now, but eventually throughout the USA. I don't know how many clubs do we have in the United States right now? Nudist clubs, naturist clubs, clothing optional clubs. Does anybody have a number on that?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
Don't give me the lion.
No, that's okay. But we do need ambassadors. That's the main point.
We do.
Yeah, not one or two clubs. It's a whole bunch, and we'd like to have.
Yes.
We'd like to have at least 3 per club as a start, or just 1 at the club and 1 at the beach and 1 somewhere else, or what?
So if you're talking regions, I would say 3 to 5. Actually, no, it would be more than that. Yeah, I would say as many as we can.
Yeah.
I know we have the cap of 50, but because there's going to be some people that do it to get the free membership for 1 year, and then there's just going to be people that do it because they love it. I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm out and about and I talk about nudism, I'm not like, if I do enough, I get a free membership. And people aren't doing that.
No.
And so,
no, not at all.
yeah, I would say, like, in any organization, it's usually, 4 or 5% of the people do all the majority of the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so even with the ambassador program, you're going to have people that are go-getters that are like, I am on fire and I'm going to get this done. And then you're going to have people that are like, I'll talk about it when I see somebody or when I can. And both of those are absolutely fine because the information's getting out.
Yeah, whatever method you use. Now, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I just realized if you get over 50, let's say you get 1,000, we could pay for those people out of your salary as an AANR volunteer with all the jobs you have, right?
Absolutely. I'll pay them 0 as I get 0.
And that's the whole point. People have to understand, and most do now, but if you're new, you're just hearing about AANR for the first time, nobody gets paid other than the 8, 9, 10 people at the office in Kissimmee, Florida. But region presidents don't get paid. Trustees don't get paid. Nobody gets paid. You do get reimbursed for expenses, but that would be a normal part of business. Like you travel from Oregon to Florida, I'm guessing, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I'm guessing you got reimbursed for travel expenses, hotel food. Yeah. Which is not, but that's not payment. That's reimbursing you for the expenses you laid out for the organization. So I want to be really clear about that. Nobody's making any money at AANR other than the people at the office, and that's their full-time job.
And to go one step further, so AANR pays the reimbursement of trustees. Each region pays the reimbursement for regional presidents. And so it's regional money that pays for the president. It's AANR money that pays for the trustees.
Okay. Which would make sense. Yeah.
And there's a possibility of 14 people traveling when you have 7 regions with 7 trustees, 7 presidents. I haven't been a trustee that long, but I haven't seen all 7 or all 14 in one place at one time.
No, that'd be tough to do with everybody's schedules and lifestyles.
Really tough. That's a lot of schedules.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, how many were, since you brought that up, how many were there in person? How many trustees in person at the February conference?
In person was 4, and online was 3.
Okay.
So we have all 7 of them.
So all 7 participated, and that's good information as well.
Yes.
Because they're not just taking a title and sleeping in on a Saturday morning. They got up and wherever they were. I think it started at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so that means 7 a.m. on the West Coast. And those people got up and they participated. So everybody should know that as well.
Yeah.
We are talking to Jenny Agee this morning. She's from the American Association for Nude Recreation. In addition to 10,000 other things that she does for AANR, she is one of the trustees. Each region has a trustee. There are only 7 in all of AANR who service the national office, for lack of a better term. And Jenny is one of them. She's from the Northwest, where Andy Rogers is the president now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a go-getter too.
Oh, yeah. She's one of our favorites around here. We've had her on a lot. We have her coming up again in a few weeks or a few months. I don't have the schedule in front of me. But before we go on and talk about the trustees in AANR, list off your jobs again. And by jobs, I mean volunteer positions that you do for AANR.
Okay. So AANR Trustee, AANR Convention and Facilities Chair, that's for AANR and AANR Northwest. I do nominations for AANR Northwest, the Ambassador Program for AANR, social media and brand marketing for AANR Northwest, marketing chair for the Willametans. I think that's it, maybe.
Wow. I think I need a nap, Jenny, just from hearing the jobs that you have, because I'm picturing doing all that and I'm getting really sleepy. I'm just kidding, but that's a lot. It's not a competition as to who does the most things, but if there were, you'd either win the whole thing outright or be darn close to the top as far as the different hats you wear for AANR. So on behalf of AANR, we thank you for all that you do, because you do a lot.
Yeah. It's my pleasure. If you notice the pattern there, though, most of it is around marketing. I'm a graphic designer by trade. So that's what I do for a living. And so I like designing. I'm super creative. I like managing social medias. And so that's kind of my personality.
Yeah, well, that's very good. And now, before we do dive into AANR and your work as a trustee, how did you discover this whole naturism thing? Did you grow up in a naturism family? Did you discover it later? How did it come to be for you?
My parents are very staunch Christians, and my parents don't know I'm a nudist.
Oh, even today?
My children do.
Okay.
But so I've always had the desire to not wear clothes. When my husband and I first started dating, he always has Jeeps. I think we counted them, and he's had 32 Jeeps in his lifetime.
Wow.
CJ 5s.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we would always go out Jeeping, and when the top was off, my top was off, and we just went everywhere. I was always topless. And then we would do like nude camping. I was always nude in the home. We have 3 daughters. It was just, actually all of us were. You get out of the shower, you get ready, you're just in your towels, or then the towel drops and you're just getting ready. And so that was very comfortable. And then in 2016, when they had the big eclipse, we had a huge event outside of Prineville. It had over 100,000 people at that event, and it was called Symbiosis. And Brett and I are local metal artists, so we got a free booth. The booths were $1,000 a booth, and we got it for free because we were locals. So we went up there, and it was the most amazing, eye-opening thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. So we're manning the booth, and all of a sudden, people are walking by and they're completely naked, and I'm like, "Is this a thing? Can we do this? Is this a thing?" I was so excited. So from that, it pivoted to, we started nude camping. We started doing hot springs. We started doing things like that. But my husband was never comfortable. He was always like, "High alert, somebody's going to see us," and just not comfortable with it. And so he did some research on social nudity, and he found the Willametans, and we went there. And we went there in January. And if you know nudists, they're smart. They're not dumb. They don't get naked when it's cold. So we were at the Willametans, and everybody was dressed. And I was like, what the heck? Why isn't anybody naked? Nobody's naked. And so the morning we were getting ready to leave the resort, and we were going to head home, we were laying in bed, and I told my husband, I was like, if we don't get naked outside, I'm never coming back. Wow, I was like, this feels the same as doing everything else. That's true. It just feels the same. It feels like we went to a resort. Yeah. And so we did. He argued a lot. He was like, "Oh, I don't want to be the only ones." I'm like, "I don't care. We're doing this." And so we did. We got up. We were staying in the Huckleberry, and we walked to the pool nude. We took our showers, we got in the pool nude. We came back, and I was so liberated. And
Mm-hmm.
here we are today. And that was probably 2016, 2017.
Wow. And see, that is
Yeah.
a great story because, and one people need to hear more often is the liberating feeling. You don't know it until you do it. It's like, well, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, and then you do it. It's like, holy cow, why didn't I do this
Yeah.
150 years ago? Because it does take all of the nonsense away. Yes, you're physically
Yes,
removing the clothes,
absolutely.
yeah, but I think mentally and emotionally, in fact, I know because I've experienced it. Mentally and emotionally, you're taking all the nonsense away at the same time you're taking the clothes away, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever swim without a swimsuit on, you'll never put a swimsuit on again.
That's exactly it. We've had
So gross.
yeah, and then you get out and you're soaking wet and
It
it's sticking to
sticks
your
to
skin.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Nobody
And
wants
then
to do that.
and then you never really get dried off if you have to stay in your suit for a prolonged period. You're still, yeah, you got that yucky feeling going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And I've told the
Yeah.
story before. Yeah, there was a neighbor, next door neighbor, having some kind of gathering, like 15, 20 people, whatever, which I didn't know about. And I went to go swimming. And oh, shoot. They probably won't see me, but I also don't want to, risk anything because I don't know who's in the crowd. I don't know who these people were other than my neighbors. And so I put a suit on and went in. And about a minute later, I said, no, absolutely not. If I can't swim nude, I'm not swimming at
Absolutely
all.
not.
Got out of the pool, got where they couldn't see me, got the suit off, dried off. And I said, that's just not going to happen again. So I'm with you all the way on that one. And it's great to hear it from a woman's perspective. We hear these stories a lot from men who then have to convince their wives to try it. In your case, the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
I was like, you have to do this or we're not going to come back. Which, I mean, shame on us for going in January, but
Well, you go when you go,
it's what happened.
when the mood strikes. Well, so your parents, even to this day, still don't know about any of this? But your
No.
kids do. Do you have to swear them to secrecy before they go for Thanksgiving dinner or whatever you guys do?
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of know where grandma and grandpa, my mom and dad stand. They know that it would, I think it would kind of hurt them.
Yeah.
They just, yeah, yeah. They're great people. I think it would hurt their feelings to think of their daughter doing what? You know how
Yeah.
they say, whatever you do there, like we're not doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always goes to swinging. Every time it goes to swinging. And it's
Always.
like, no, that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about.
No. I've spent
No.
more hours than I
It's
can
about,
count. Yeah, I've spent more hours than I can count explaining that to people. There's
Yeah.
none of that. In fact, if you even make a move in that direction, you'll be bounced out of any club that I've
yes.
ever been to. It's just not allowed, period.
Our oldest daughter, it took me the longest to tell her. I told my youngest right away. She knew within 2 or 3 months. And she was like, okay, that's weird. I'm like, might be to you, but I like it. But our oldest daughter, I called her on the phone. So the Willamettans had a group of people that were going on the big nude boat. And they wanted t-shirts made. And my daughter, also a designer, makes t-shirts. So one of the ladies from our club, because I was sharing my daughter's post on Facebook, got a hold of my daughter and was like, hey, so can you make us 15 t-shirts? And my daughter's like, oh yeah, that's great. I can do that. And then it was gonna say the big nude boat, the year, and then at the bottom they were gonna put the Willamettans. And so Debbie said to my daughter, she was like, well, you can ask your mom if we can actually use the term the Willamettans. So my daughter private messages me. She's like, hey, so one of your friends is ordering t-shirts and she wants to know if she can use the word the Willamettans. And I'm like, my heart sinks. I'm like, oh my God. If she Googles this, she's going to know. And I didn't want her to find out that way.
Right.
I wanted to be the one that told her. So I called her on the phone and I was like, hey, me and your dad have to tell you something.
Yeah.
And this was probably 5 or 6 years in. Yeah. And so I explained it to her and I sent her the YouTube video of the Willamettans, video of the grounds that they took. And I was like, it's safe. It's, kind of explained the whole nudism thing. And she just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And I'm like, What are we doing? And she goes, the only thing I can picture is a bunch of fat naked people hanging out. And I'm like, not wrong. No, not wrong. But yeah, that's how my oldest daughter found out.
Is are all your kids adults now, or are they still under
Oh
18
yeah,
or
yeah,
they are? Okay.
yeah. My oldest is 29 and my
Oh,
youngest
okay.
is 27 and my middle is 28. So 27, 28, 29. All girls. I have 7 grandchildren as well.
Wow, good for you. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And you don't look a
Yeah.
day past 25, so you're doing something right.
Thank
Maybe
you.
it's the clothes-free living, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Vitamin
think
D is
so.
very good for you.
Yeah. And your husband, the same thing, because we saw him online. He doesn't look a day over 26. So you guys are doing
Yeah.
something right, and that's great to hear. But you mentioned
Yeah.
your parents were and probably are staunch Christians. We've
Yeah.
had people on the show before, pastors, those who have delivered sermons and written books. That's how we were intended to live. Obviously the old joke, but it's not really a joke. It's true. We were born naked, and we were intended to
Right.
live a clothes-free life. It's society that brought it in. Or when they started to move around the world and it got to really cold places, they got to cover up somewhat. But it was never meant to be, 5 billion clothing stores and everything else in the world.
Yeah.
That's society that put that on us. And so that's in the Bible. You use the word
Yeah.
Christian. So when they studied the book, as Pastor Jim did, I don't know if you heard that interview. It's been a few years now. I think he's back in 2023. He was a pastor of a church, and somebody wanted him to talk to their relative because they were nudists. He said, they're living a sinful life because they live clothes free. And he said, well, I'll fix that. He goes, but let me study the Bible so I have my acting gear. When I approach them, I can quote scripture and verse. And so as he spent the week reading, he goes, oh, shoot, I've been wrong all these years and I'm a pastor. And so now he's, living a clothes-free life, promoting it. There's a movie coming out about his life. And so when people actually study the Bible, even as Christians, they'll realize, oh my gosh, naked as God created us. God didn't put us here to dress in clothes. He put us here to live as he created us. And when people hear that for the first time, they might fight you back. If you tell your parents that, they might say, get out of here. But as they think it over
Yeah.
and study it a little bit, and that's what happened. I've lived clothes free forever, but I did not know it was biblically correct. Now that I do, it gives even more power to it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We actually studied the Bible before we went to the Lamatans the first time to make sure, because we're still very strong Christians ourselves.
Okay.
Just not as much as them.
Yeah.
They're just also in a different generation, and I don't know, closed minded. You kind of know who your parents are, but yeah, we studied the Bible and we found the scriptures and we did a ton of research and we found the same thing. It's biblically correct to be
Yeah.
a nudist as long as you're not doing nefarious things, which that's not what nudism is about.
Right. Yeah, it's a very good point. And, a lot of people being nude in society, well, we can't have that because then it's going to be a sexual free for all. And as I told somebody recently, sometimes you'll see a man go up to a woman at the grocery store or a woman up to a man. They'll start talking and maybe they even start flirting, but they're both clothed. So if they were both nude and they started flirting, does that mean sexual activity? No, it just means it's a man and a woman talking and flirting in aisle 6. And until we get
Yeah.
that stigma removed, we have to fight this
Right.
fight. And that's why Tim Mullins and Eric and
Right.
everybody else, you got to dig your heels and like, hey, folks, this is normal. So until we get that stigma removed that, well, they have their clothes off, we know what they're doing. And until we get that removed, we just fight this battle all the time, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the way to fight it is just by telling your story. Tell as many people your story that you can tell.
Yeah. And we've talked to many men, sometimes, verbally have conversations, but also back and forth, email, messages, whatever. They had addictions to pornography, which is one of the devil's great tools. And there's a good looking woman over there. Okay, that's nice. Next day, well, I want to see 2 good looking women today. And before you know it, it snowballs kind of like a drug. And then they can't get out of it. And they're just, hiding in their basement or the garage. Honey, I'm going to go work on the car. And they're really got the computer out. And it takes over your life. And a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists have explained this. And naturism, somehow, some way, I think I know the answer, but it takes that away. And I think because now you're living clothes free, for all of the right reasons. You're not checking out babes or dudes down the street. You're just, hi, my name is so and so. Nice to meet you. And you're just enjoying life as intended to be. And as I always say, when you follow the plan, you follow the rules, good things happen, right?
Absolutely. So I have a very good friend that was addicted to pornography, and he started coming to our club. And in the beginning, it puts off a bad vibe to women. Women can feel it, they know it if you're being objectified.
Yeah.
And so uh, I pulled away. I was like, nope, I don't want any part of this. And so what's really crazy, me and his wife are like best friends now. But nudism cured his pornography because it took women as being an objectified thing over here in a videotape with no personality, no feelings, nothing. You just have this video over here that you're watching. And then when you start seeing naked women that you like their smile and you like their spirit and their aura and their energy, and they actually become humans again instead of objectified nothings. And so it actually cured his pornography, and we're great friends with both of them now.
Yeah.
I had to step away in the beginning, but like, and they're Christians as well. And so, I mean, it just sometimes it happens. Sometimes you go down the road of sin and it takes a while to get back, but that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you need to find how to do things in a right, morally way with good values and a good heart and a good soul with it. And so, yeah, they're great friends with us now. Yeah.
Yep. And we hear that a lot. And it's hard to explain that to somebody like, okay, so I want to see a bunch of naked women online. And you're telling me if I go to this nudist resort where there are 100 naked women, somehow that's going to cure me of wanting to see naked women? And I can't put it into words, but the answer is yes. That's basically how it works, because it is totally non-sexual, and you'll get it when you see it. It might take a few trips, but eventually, like your friend and like people we know, it goes away. It's taken away because now you're living close free for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
We keep saying that on the show, but it's so very true, and that's why we keep saying it. And it's good to know you've experienced that as well, and maybe some of your ambassadors can use that with people.
Yeah,
if it comes up in conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. You just need to humanize everything. Everything needs to be brought back to where we began, our roots biblically, way back when, where we started, how we are now. When we're born as a child, and you have the little 1 and 2 and 3-year-old that's running around the house naked all the time because they don't want their diaper on. That's not sexified. That's not sexual. There's nothing sexual about that.
No.
So it's as you get older and older and older, for some reason, everything becomes sexualized. I think it's our society, it's our programming, it's our commercials, it's what they want us to think and feel. And they're really good at their job.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, if we just started in the very beginning, never ever put clothes on unless you had to go outside and it was snowing, everybody would be on the same page.
That's exactly it. And that's what we're trying to get to. And I'm fond of saying we'll get there. It might be tomorrow, might be 1,000 years, but doggone it, we're going to get there and get people to realize this is the way to go, not because you say it or I say it, because that's how we were intended to live. And this is great. All the things that you're doing for AANR, you listed off your positions a couple of times. We won't go through it again because it's just so much. And people might get tired, like, oh, I can't believe she does all that. She does that, and she does that too. You do a lot, but mainly we had you on today to explain the ambassadors program, which came through the marketing team. And it's really great. You said Linda Weber came up to you and said, hey, I have a new thing we're starting. Would you like to lead it? And you quickly said yes without even asking details. I think that defines who Jenny Agee is. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just call me. You need help? Call me and I'll help you.
Call me. You have my phone number, 8675309.
If you need something done, give it to not only a busy person. We're going to change that. Need something done, give it to Jenny. She'll find a way to get it done quickly and efficiently and well done. But also your work as a trustee. Now, you said you were put in the position because somebody had to resign because they moved. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Marjorie was the trustee before me, and she moved to Mexico we kept her in as trustee, even though she was in Mexico, our board, the AANR Northwest board. But then we also added me as trustee in training. So we overlapped each other for 3 months. And then I got put in.
Okay.
That was at I think it was last spring meeting.
Okay.
So,
When do you?
Yeah, it's been about 9 months.
When is your tenure up, and when do you run for election or re-election?
I am running right now for trustee.
Wow.
You will see the article in I think it's the March bulletin. It might be the May bulletin.
Okay. Is that also a 2-year term?
It's a 2-year term.
Okay.
And I'm under the impression that the entire board and every trustee is up for renewal right now.
Oh, okay.
Which that's a huge flip. That's a lot.
It's kind of like the House of Representatives. Every person in the House is up for re-election every 2 years. So in theory, you could have a brand new House every 2 years, but a lot of people get re-elected, so it's never really a brand new. And you might get all 7 re-elected again, and I don't think you're going to get all 7 replaced. That almost never happens anywhere. But the best wishes to you on that. I know you're going to win, and if your parents want to talk about this, give them my number. And at the end of the conversation, when they become believers, I say, oh, by the way, your daughter's a nudist too. You might want to call her. Wouldn't that be a great conversation?
That would be awesome.
All right. We've been talking to Jenny Agee from AANR and the national organization, but also AANR Northwest. She does a million things for AANR, official titles, leads this, that, and everything else under the sun. Running the ambassadors program, serves as a trustee. And Jenny Agee, thank you very much for being with us today. Go out there and have a great close your day. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you.
The terrific Jenny Agee. She does tons for the American Association for Nude Recreation. On top of everything else, she is one of the 7 trustees, and she's also the chairperson for the Ambassadors Program. And we thank Jenny Agee for her appearance on this show over the last 2 Saturdays. And on the next 2 Saturday shows, which will be episodes 177 and 179, our special guest will be Eric Shutoff, the Executive Director for the American Association for Nude Recreation. And before we head for the hills until next Wednesday's show, let's bring back in our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
It's good to be back. I stayed naked like I promised, so I'm allowed back in the studio. What a great interview with Jenny. She is just remarkable.
Really is. And, when you go to clothing stores, we talked about clothing on the show earlier. Mm-hmm. They have mannequins. There are, I don't know if they're called mannequins, but it's the head only, like the head and the face, where they, string jewelry or glasses or whatever. Is that still called a mannequin if it's face only?
I actually don't know, or maybe it's just a bust or something that they make. I don't know what the fashion term would be.
I'm wondering if Jenny Agee has like 500 of those in her garages to hold each of the hats that she wears for AANR.
She has to. She must.
Otherwise, where are you going to put all these hats that she wears? This is amazing what she does.
I don't know. She is an incredible force for naturism, and she's just delightful to hear. And I'm highly impressed with her, and there's some amazing people associated with naturism, and many of them are in AANR, and it's just amazing. It's really great.
Very much so. All right, let's head for the hills. And on next Saturday's show, we have the executive director for AANR, Eric Shutoff, and we'll have an amazing conversation with him as well over the next 2 Saturdays. Lisa Monroe, until Wednesday, if you promise to stay clothes-free, we'll get together next Wednesday. How's that for a deal?
I'll promise that again just for that opportunity. I mean, I guess you don't have to promise that, but I do. Somewhere.
All right. All right. Have a great few days. I'll see you Wednesday.
Certainly. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 175 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here, and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.